All right, hi, this is Kate with yogahealer.com, and I'm going to talk about the different kinds of detoxing for the different doshas. Now, many of you know a little bit about your body type, and there's a number of different body type quizzes on yogahealer.com. If you go to the blog and then you just search body type, you'll find all the different body type quizzes in there to get a sense of your constitution. It's funny, I was just telling my husband the other day that when I was in Ayurveda school and studying with Dr. Mark Halpern, and we were maybe in the third or fourth month, and we were talking more and more about constitutions and doshas, and he looked at me and he said, you're kapha pitta. And I was like, really? And I think I have so much more pitta. And my mind was really identified with being more fire and being more pitta. And often this is the way. And I'm actually just coming to terms now, maybe 15 years into my Ayurvedic career, just coming to terms with the amount of kapha, the amount of water, earth element I really have in my mind-body constitution. And all of that is just to say that understanding your constitution is an exploration. It's not something like if someone labels you something and names you something, it may or may not be true. But to really know your constitution, you need to go inwards, and you need to actually kind of uncover like what is your physiology. And sometimes in the process of detox, by taking out a lot of the gunk and goo and undigested food, unresolved emotional patterns that are in the way and are informing how you show up and are informing your cravings and informing the choices that you make day to day. Once you clear that stuff out, you have a much better chance of actually understanding what your constitution is. Now, because that's a process, clearing that stuff out is a process and can take months, years, decades, depending on how murky it is in there. You know, all of that's to say that give yourself the time to understand your constitution. And detoxing is a great way to get a deeper insight into your constitution. One of the things that I've discovered over the years is that I can really go a very, very long time without food and be pretty balanced on a liquid diet. And that's a sign that I have a lot of kapha in my earth, water. I have a lot of stamina. I have I have a very deep, consistent energy. That's true of kapha. So for kaphas, people that have more earth and water, the heavier constitutions, those that like have no trouble bulking up, right? And those that actually can eat and have that energy last a very long time, then if those are basically some of the key attributes of kapha. You have steady energy for a long time. You sleep easily. You rest heavily. You eat sensually. Those are all different attributes of kaphas. And when you go out of balance, you go more towards sadness or depression than you do towards overwhelm or anger. So if that's you, chances are you're really good at holding on to stuff, whether it's physical or whether it's emotional or whether it's mental. Like your body is intrinsically, it draws in, right? It pulls, it's sticky. Is the chief guna. It holds on to things. And so for you, the process of detox is the process of letting go. And because you have deep stamina, you can really, once you get over your emotional attachment to food, which is huge, right? Once you get over that, you might find that like, oh my gosh, I love just doing the master cleanse, just doing the lemonade diet, the spicy lemonade diet for 10 days. Like that, wow, I had no idea I really didn't need to hold on to so much. And you'll notice your body will just let go and let go. So if you do have a lot of kapha in your constitution, I do recommend that you just take the gigantic leap and go to a liquid diet for 5 level of experience. If you're more experienced, I would say for 10 to 20 days, either doing the spicy lemonade or a juice cleanse. If you don't have a juicer and you do have a blender, and basically make a green smoothie and then squeeze it through a nut milk bag so you're not getting the fiber, and just let yourself get the nutrients. Now, if you're thinking, okay, that sounds way too extreme, then do the living liquids diet where you're doing the green smoothies, you're doing living soups, you could even have some fresh fruit with that, and you're simplifying to just liquids. And I think this is really great for kaphas to really get the sense of, wow, I don't really need much food to feel more energy. I get more energy from less. And that's the basic gift of kapha is the ability to give, because you naturally store, so you have so much to give away, and it doesn't take that much to sustain you. You can learn that through your process of detox. Other body practices that are really important for kapha, because there's a tendency towards stagnation and towards lymphatic clogging. It's great to get some like silk gloves at Whole Foods, or they're sometimes called darshan gloves, or skin brushing, gloves, and just give yourself like a rough massage. You're just stimulating. And I do this every morning. I should have brought them up. I put my silk gloves on and I just rub everything down, especially neck, ears, head, everywhere. Boobs go to armpits, to your back, your butt, literally all parts. And in general, with skin brushing, you're going down and you're kind of bringing everything back to the digestive tract. So that is really quite important. Other things for kapha is make sure you move every day. Even if you're just doing liquids, make sure you move, every morning when you wake up, maybe you drink your salt water to do the saltwater flush, meditate, and then do some movement. And maybe you evacuate and then do your movement, but getting your body moving and then taking movement breaks throughout the day, whether it's breath practices, pranayama practices, whether it's running around your house, jumping on a trampoline for 5-10 minutes, doing a lymphatic shaking practice that's in our videos. But get things moving. More frequently is going to be better than duration. Okay, so frequency over duration. All right, now let's talk about Pitta body types and detoxing. So if you have more Pitta in your constitution, chances are you have a lot of intensity, you're focused, you're on task, you have a vision, goal orientation, you're moving towards that vision. And chances are, emotionally when you go out of balance, it's irritation, frustration, irritability, anger, and you just kind of feel like, why can't other people be more competent? It's a very Pitta type thought. Physically, your body may go out of balance in terms of loose stools, hyperacidity, acid reflux, heartburn, skin irritation, rashes, eczema, acne, headaches. Those are all signs. IBS, any kind of inflammatory related diseases all generally have a component of Pitta in them. So your detox might simply be to very much detox your blood, not just the plasma in your blood, but also your red blood cells. And in Ayurveda, that takes about 10 days. So having a deep 10-day detox, I would really advocate. Now, things like the spicy lemonade diet and master cleanse, you might be drawn towards just because of your intensity, and that sounds intense and a good thing to do. But the tough thing is that cayenne is really aggravating to Pitta. And so that could make, it could detox you too quickly. It could aggravate the heat in your blood. It could aggravate your liver. It could aggravate your, if you tend to get headaches, it could aggravate those. It just might simply be too hot to do that. So for instead, you to choose things that are more Pitta soothing instead of Pitta aggravating would be better. And doing a juice cleanse with a lot of green juices. If you wanted to go more into a deep liquid cleanse, that would be good. I think for many Pittas, just simply to do the living liquids cleanse or even to do a khichdi cleanse, especially for those who need more grounding and don't want to stop eating, that both of those are really good options. And for those of you who are Pitta and are just gung-ho on doing the master cleanse, I've made this up, you guys, this isn't like coming from any official source except for my personal experience, is if my Pitta acts up during the master cleanse, I simply change out the limes, I change out lemons for limes, and I change out the cayenne for coriander. And I've had a number of students do this over the years, and all of them say, yeah, it definitely makes it a little less heat and intense. So that's my recommendation to you, is you can really do any of the different detoxes, but what you want to pay attention is making sure that you're having a Pitta reducing diet. Now, the other really crucial thing for Pittas is to have a Pitta reducing lifestyle, which means that you have to nourish yourself. This one cleanse I was doing, and you guys, I've done this 2 to 3 to 4 times a year for the last, 10 to 12 years. It's been a while. I've had a lot of I've done all different sorts of detoxes and had all different sorts of experiences, and I have a ton of Pitta in my mental body. And I used to get migraines as a young child. Now, towards the end of the day, you'll feel tired. Usually because if you're Pitta, you've been pushing yourself hard, you've been burning the candle at both ends, and there's simply, there's simply deep fatigue in your glands, in your endocrine system, and in your organs. And when you start to detox and you're not using stimulants anymore, you're not having that little piece of dark chocolate or that little shot of espresso or that nice afternoon cup of green tea, if you're taking all that out, you're going to start to feel the fatigue in your organs. So in the early evening, maybe even in the afternoon, you're going to start to feel tired. Now, if you try to push through that, because that's the tendency of Pitta, is just burn through it, push through it, what you'll notice is you'll experience pain. So this one detox I was doing, I felt like going to sleep, and my husband convinced me to stay up and watch something. And I got this migraine. It was so incredibly intense, and I could just feel it. It was just that, my whole body shouting like, no more stimulation, like I just need deep rest, and it's coming from the organs. So let me just give that story to you and say that take good care of yourself and make sure that you have a partner or a buddy, a detox buddy. It might not be your husband, it might be a friend, it might be someone who's also in the detox, that can just remind you of your deeper intentions to get deep rest, to wind down early. Maybe it's to have a meditation practice at night, or do a more restorative, restful yoga practice at night. Maybe it's simply just to sit back and enjoy being and do an inquiry practice. But your nights for Pittas need to be incredibly simple, and you need to get plenty of rest, which might be, some nights you might go to bed at 8:30 and wake up 9 hours later feeling deeply rested. So let yourself get the rest that you need. Okay, so now let's go into Vatas. So for Vata body types and detox is what we're going to talk about next. If you have more Vata, chances are your skeletal frame is quite light, that you have, like bird bones, that you're lighter, that your musculature is lighter. Even if you're overweight, right? You can be Vata and still carry excess weight. And when you do the excess weight, it might seem like it just kind of like hangs on you, that it doesn't like integrate, or it doesn't like become like muscle tissue like it does for the Pittas and the Kaphas, but it's almost like it's just like loose weight on your body. Now, if you're more Vata, your mind will tend to be more distracted. You'll tend to be involved in a lot of different projects. You'll tend to be really easily excited about things and have a lot of great enthusiasm and spontaneity. Out of balance, you might tend towards overwhelm, a feeling of anxiety, a lot of fear, worry. That's all tendency of the Vata type mind. The Vata type body is naturally quite light and irregular in bowel patterns, irregular in hunger, irregular in basically like eating. So you might eat at very different times throughout the day. So the invitation for you in detox is to create very regular patterns for yourself. Early to bed, early to rise, and then eating at 3 to 4 times, the same times every day, getting yourself on cycle so that your digestive fire can really get on cycle. Now, depending on where you are in your yoga evolution and your mind-body evolution, really depends on what kind of detox you can do. For people that are lighter, for them to have a khichdi cleanse is generally the one that's most recommended. And I would even say if you're underweight, but you still want the experience of an at-home retreat, and you still want the experience of a detox, because you might be underweight and still not have the best habit patterns and not have the best eating patterns and not be feeding yourself that well, that simply going to a whole foods diet or doing the khichdi cleanse as the deeper part of your detox is what I would recommend. Whether you do that with the oleation and the purgation is up to you. If you do the oleation and purgation, it's a much deeper cleanse, and I generally recommend for people to do that when it's not your first cleanse, maybe when it's like your second or third cleanse and you're ready to take in weird substances like drinking ghee first thing in the morning and doing that for 4 or 5 days and then purging your digestive tract with castor oil. All of that very deeply resets the body, but it's more of an intense experience. And if you're more Vata and you're looking for a more gentle experience, I would simply do the yogi detox to clean up your diet and clean up your lifestyle patterns. And you might be thinking, well, Kate, that doesn't sound that exciting at all. And it's just like for a kapha who's like, I'm telling them to drink liquid, and they're like, that doesn't sound very exciting at all, because they want to eat food. Now, often we need to do what's opposite, right? For the Pitta person, they don't want to go to bed early. That doesn't sound exciting at all. So in detox, we're understanding that which we're naturally attracted to can get us in trouble, and we're doing the opposite. So for Vata, that means getting super regular and taking good care of yourself. And it might be just simply cooking a one-pot meal in the morning, whether that's khichdi, the rice and mung beans and ghee and spice mix, or whether it's just a very simple diet of another grain, legume, or lots of, or like a vegetable stew or soup. And just simply having that same meal, that same pot, having that 3 to 4 times during the day. So you're only cooking once, and you're just absolutely simplifying your life so that all these loose threads and all the different directions that you tend to go in, they start to pull in, and you start to get integrated and grounded. The challenge for your detox is really to make every day look more or less the same. to let your diet even every day look more or less the same. And we call that a mono diet, meaning it's the same. It's not a dual diet. There's not two things going on. There's only one thing going on. And just getting in that pattern, your energy start to coalesce and start to ground, and getting in the dinacharya, or the daily habits that are part of the cleanse, that is going to be enough to bring you through a full detox cycle and bring you out the other end feeling really clear and good. Now, if you're thinking like, Kate, okay, I've done that before and that's good, now I want to go to the next level and I am quite Vata, you can go into other cleanses. You can do living liquids. What you might want to do with the living liquids, if you're more Vata, is have all of your ingredients at room temperature. So you're never taking celery out of the fridge and putting it through your Vitamix. Okay? That's going to be too cold to your system. So instead, start with your ingredients. Yeah, your celery is going to look a little wilted compared to the nice crisp when you take it out of the fridge, but that's okay. It's going to be a little warmer. If you're keeping it in the fridge and you make your green smoothie, you can actually warm it up a little bit in the dehydrator or on the stove. Just stir it with your finger so you can just feel it getting warm and not getting hot, just to bring it up to warm. So the other big tip for Vatas going more towards the living liquids cleanse is to add spice. So you might add, if you're making a green smoothie, you might put a half an inch or an inch of fresh ginger root in there. You might put some cayenne pepper in there. You might use some, various spices depending on your constitution. I use a lot of parsley, for instance, to just gently warm Vata up, like parsley, ginger, grapefruit, and celery with maybe a banana. For those who are more beginners, can be a really nice morning smoothie. So have your ingredients at room temperature, have everything at least room temperature to warm that you're taking in your body, and make sure everything's spiced. Those are the three biggest tips that I have for Vatas in terms of the food cleanse. And in terms of the mental emotional cleanse, get super regular, get to bed early, get up early, eat at the same times every day. Only cook once for that day and have that food for the rest of the day, so that you start to bring your energy into the center and start to receive the nourishment of very simple daily routines. All right, so I hope that's been helpful. We've just gone through the Kapha, Pitta, and Vata, the different recommendations I have for you for the different types of cleansing. Let me just think if there's any other. There's a few other things. One, for Pitta, to do a purge. So either using the saltwater flush or a castor oil purge, or using Cascara sagrada, which you can buy in a tincture at the herb store. And just taking, you could even take like 30 drops before bed. Just purging out your digestive tract is a really good idea. Or using the downward flow that's in the Yogi Detox mix. Getting the excess bile out of your system is really helpful. If you're a Vata, to do the enemas is a really good idea. Both the cleansing enemas, but also the rebuilding enemas, the oil enemas, super, super helpful. And for Kapha, the dry brushing, the movement, and then steam therapy, taking hot baths, really hot baths, and then putting yourself in a towel and sweating in bed, sweat for 20 minutes. Or if you have a sauna, use a sauna, but use sweat therapy. Or if you don't have a tub and you don't have a sauna, just put a lot of clothes on, like extra clothes on, and go for a run for 10-15 minutes and just get your body sweating. And that's really one of the best things that you can do for detox. All right, thanks so much, and I'll see you inside.